On 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Bye week for the Eagles. Sixers get another win on Monday night. Flyers are back in action really late tonight, so some of us will not be awake for that. I'm sure of that for some of you out there. Plus, we will talk about the latest with the NFL here on this hour of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That's the text board. Also, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And one more opportunity today for you to qualify for 99 bottles. When you hear the sounder later this hour, that'll be your cue to call to qualify for 99 bottles one more time today before Mike Gill starts all over again tomorrow at 2 o'clock here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up in less than 20 minutes from now, Mike Sando from The Athletic will join me as The Athletic has come out with their new book, The Football 100, the 100 greatest players in NFL history. And Mike and I will have a little debate about some of the players on the list, because needless to say, there are a couple people I think should be on the list, and a couple people I'm sure he's going to tell me why I'm wrong in his opinion. So for those who don't know, the whole list was compiled by the entire Athletic NFL department. So it wasn't just Mike Sando, but Mike's kind of like the face for, he organized the whole project. We'll ask him some NFL questions as well with the Eagles at the bye week, because Sando, he does his own takeaways after every NFL Sunday. So we'll get into that with him as well. But first, before we get to anything, I want to start off talking about the state of the Eagles at the bye week, because, you know, this bye week, you could argue, came at a perfect time. And now Philadelphia has an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button. It's not ideal to have Dallas Goedert injured, but it's better to have him injured heading into the bye week than have him be injured in the middle of the season and you have to adjust on the fly, right? Well, the Eagles also have other injuries as well. Jalen Hurts, he's got the bone bruise to his knee, as they call it, right? You have Nakobe Dean, he's injured again. Cam Jurgens, he still needs to return from his injury, even though kudos to Tyler Steen for the job that he did. And the Eagles, they are 8-1 despite everything. I think that is one of the biggest conversations we have not had enough about. The fact that the Eagles are 8-1. I feel like sometimes in the last 24 to 48 hours, all I've heard is people complain about the Eagles. The Eagles have the best record by a Super Bowl losing team since the 2000 Tennessee Titans started their year 8-1 and finished 13-3. So that means it's been 23 years since a team that lost the biggest game of the year bounced back. 10 of the last 25 Super Bowl losers have had losing records the following season. Meanwhile, the 2023 Eagles are not losers. They have the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL, and their defense is number 1 in quarterback pressures. But people still complain. I think sometimes you gotta count your blessings. You gotta be grateful for what you have. Sometimes you just gotta turn around and say, you know what? It's a good day to be an Eagles fan. Where's that sentiment? I think we need more of that sentiment. Now, look, I'm a realist. I understand the team's not perfect. There are obvious issues on the back end of the defense in terms of continuity and guys being in and out of the lineup due to injuries. I understand that there are questions about the offensive play calling. I understand there are frustrations that people have with how much they're running or not running the ball. There are concerns about Jalen Hurts' health. But guess what? It's okay, because you're 8-1 and you're still that far ahead of everybody else in the conference. And even with Dallas Goedert injured, you could argue that it might not be the worst thing in the world. Because last year, when Dallas Goedert missed 5 games, the Eagles averaged more points per game in those 5 games than the previous 9 games with him. Now, it's not to say Dallas Goedert is not an important part of this team, and he is essential to help you win a championship if that's what your ultimate goal is to be, which I'm assuming every football fan's goal is for your team to win a championship. But guess what? When the Eagles were scoring 33 points a game and putting up tons of yards and points against the Titans and the Giants and the Packers last year, it was without Dallas Goedert. Not because they're better off without him, but because it gave the team an opportunity to do something different. Maybe this is another opportunity to do something different. It's the idea that, hey, we're having some trouble running the ball. Hey, we're feeding 1 or 2 receivers way too many targets. Jalen Hurts is not spreading the ball out enough in terms of the offense. Maybe without Dallas Goedert, it's an opportunity to go into a matchup with Kansas City, which has one of the best defenses statistically in the NFL, and show them something that they haven't seen before. Steve Spagnuolo is coaching a great defense this year. And right now, you're giving the Eagles an opportunity to go into that game and show him something that he has never seen this year. I think that is a huge value for that matchup. And furthermore, Dallas Goedert, do you really need him the rest of the season necessarily? Not exactly. You want him to play maybe in the final couple games of the year just because he's going to miss so much time and there's going to be a little rust. But Dallas Goedert is more of a valuable accessory instead of an essential element to this offense at this point. This offense is basically been successful because they have had A.J. Brown playing out of his mind, and Jalen Hurts now has 8 touchdowns and 1 interception in the last 3 games. The Eagles are fortunate to be here. So I think it's going to be a very interesting decision they got to make. How does this offense adjust? Personally, I would like to see the Eagles find some new ways to run the ball. We know DeAndre Swift is better than he's performed in recent weeks. We know that the offensive line is one of the best lines in the NFL. We know how talented this defense is on paper. Hopefully, the Eagles are using this week to reevaluate how they use the players, and I'll put them in even a better position to be successful. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973, Jeff in Ocean City chimes in and says, Dallas Goedert was injured at the same time last year, but the schedule is tougher this year, and he will be missed. By the way, it's not just a good day, it's a good decade to be an Eagles fan. Well, I don't know if I'll go as far as decade, only because of the fact that in the last decade, you had Chip Kelly's debacle. So 2015 still happened. I will never forget the fact that it was within my first few months working here at 97.3 ESPN when the whole Chip Kelly firing happened. Within it felt like, I think it was 2 days after, the players in the locker room were really angry about Chip Kelly. And it felt like guys like Lane Johnson and other players were about to blow their top about Kelly being the head coach. And Jeffrey Lurie had that press conference and he basically gave this, like, I'm taking my team back attitude. Remember they had banished Howie Roseman. And I remember it was in my first few months of working here at 97.3 ESPN. It was massive news when Chip Kelly got fired after that miserable end of the season. And Pat Shurmur, Pat Shurmur coached the final game of the year against the Giants for the 2015 season. And all these years later, Pat Shurmur is now calling plays for Deion Sanders in Colorado. How times have changed. But so I don't know if I'll go and say it's been a good decade for Eagles fans. I think there's been some very amazing times, like winning a Super Bowl championship, going to a second Super Bowl, and having some great runs along the way. 2018 and 2019, there were a lot of moments. There were a lot of great parts of those seasons. The double doing in 2018, Carson Wentz throwing to the band of misfit toys in 2019 because all of his receivers seemingly got injured that year. 2020 was definitely a miserable, but 2020 was a miserable year for everybody because of COVID. I wasn't miserable just because the Eagles were bad. So I think it just compounded things at that point. But I hear what you're saying, Jeff in Ocean City. maybe I went a little too literal on that answer. Keep your text coming in at 609-403-0973. Really quick before we hit the break, I did want to also hit on where the NFL is standing right now. There is a lot of conversation about who is the best team in the NFL. And I brought this up yesterday on the show that just because the Eagles are 8-1, I don't know that necessarily means they are the best team in the NFL. I think there's an argument to be made they could be. But for example, I still think that I don't think the Eagles should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I think that the odds should be even. Like I saw that, one sports book had the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Ravens all at plus 320, right? So, I think that's fair. If you're telling me that all of those teams are roughly about the same, maybe not in the literal sense, but in how good are they? How good has their schedule been? How well they perform? Because at times, there have been times this year the Chiefs' offense has been really bad. And the Chiefs' defense has had to carry them at times this season. The Ravens, they struggled for a couple of games early in the year when they suffered a ton of injuries, but they found their way again, and now they're on a roll. You could argue that in the last 4 weeks, the best team in football is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are absolutely on fire right now. So, when you see people coming out with these power rankings, and when Mike Gill does his who's in, who's out tomorrow on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, there's going to be a lot of debate, a lot of angst, we'll call it, about who are the best teams, because you can look at the Eagles at 8-1 and want to crown them. But the reality is that I personally think the hottest team in football right now is the Bengals. The way they have rolled in their last 4 games. The 49ers, I don't think they're a bunch of bums, but they haven't played that great lately. So there's a lot of questions still to be had. I think it's easier for me to say the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL than it is for me to say the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. You guys let me know what you think at 609-403-0973. That's text where also your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Coming up, we'll get more of your texts. I see Dan EHT chiming in. Plus, we will talk, as promised, with Mike Sando from The Athletic about the new book, The Football 100. We got questions from Mike about the NFL and about the book coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk calling all the play-by-play action.
Vincent in front. They score!
It's Flyers Sharp.
Tonight, coverage begins at 10:30. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. MattBlackNissan.com. It's on at Matt Black Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
She's running around. Her breath doesn't smell. Her digestive system is perfect. It has made such a huge difference.
What did this dog parent do for their dog? She switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will You'll love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-sized bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Hey, it's Mike Gill for Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling Professionals. Isn't it amazing how teams can suddenly get hot or cold? How about your home? If you suspect your heating system may need repair, call my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling and save $50 off any repair this month. If your system's making louder sounds, if you notice unusual cycling, or if your system is over 10 years old, it may need maintenance to keep running safely and at max efficiency. Ambient Comfort's skilled technicians are prepared to get you through the winter regardless of who originally installed your system. You may be able to reduce those increasing energy costs as well. Don't be left in the cold. When comfort matters, choose who I choose. Visit AmbientComfortNJ.com. That's AmbientComfortNJ.com or call 609-568-0955, 609-568-0955, and save $50 off your repair. Tell them Mike Gill sent you.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
O'Reilly.
When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts, tools, accessories, and supplies quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store, or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Come to Springfield Mitsubishi Atlantic City in Pleasantville for unbeatable deals, or visit online at SpringfieldMitsubishiAC.com. Visit them today and experience the sure way to buy a car.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of holiday joy at the Home Depot, where you can find everything you need to get ready for the holiday season, like all new festive outdoor decor. Spread more joy this season with holiday decor that is uniquely you, like our new 3.5-foot Santa and Elf inflatable, each just $19.98. Available in store and online. Get holiday ready right now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll check back in on the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. I see messages from Mike and Marmora and Dan and EHC. But right now, as promised, joining us on the show, Mike Sando from The Athletic. He is part of the group that made the Football 100. It's the Athletic NFL staff put together this nice, thick book that more so to me is less about the actual list of players. It's more of a documentation of pro football history in many ways. And Mike joins us right now here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So before we get to any of the details of the book, because obviously, you know, I'm sure people could spend hours debating, you know, where people are on the list. For you, when you guys were putting this list together, you know, you and the athletic staff, what was the way you guys were able to differentiate team success from individual success? Because football is the ultimate team sport, but yet you're trying to make a list of these 100 players.
Yeah. Definitely helps to have great team success. I think it probably means more if you are a quarterback, because you can affect team success just more through the nature of the position. I think we have 19 quarterbacks on the list out of 100. So I think the next position is running backs at 14, which, when you go back before the league, it was really a passing league. It was a running league. It was, a certain time you aspired to be a top running back over a quarterback, decades ago. So, yeah, there's some positional evaluation that goes into that, but there are some great players on the list who didn't necessarily win, a ton of championships, and there's some other guys, especially near the top, Tom Brady, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Otto Graham, who won a ton, and that's part of their legacy too.
You mentioned Tom Brady. I think that is, if I had to nitpick one thing with the list, is that for me, I would never have a quarterback as the number one, just because, when you're separating individual from team, the quarterback, he needs the offensive line to block, he needs the receivers to catch, he needs the running back to not miss the chip block on the right tackle, so the blitzers that come around the edge, so he has an extra second to throw. It's just hard for me to say Tom Brady he's the greatest winner, you could say, in football history, right? But is he really the greatest player?
Yeah. When we first started this project, probably about 3 years ago, we did not have him number one. I think at that time, the panel had Ed Bouchette on it, covered the Steelers for a long time. It was me, Dan Pompei, who's been around a long time. We're all in the Hall of Fame selection committee. I think we had Jim Brown number one. And, you could certainly make a case for Jim Brown or any number of these other people, because Brady wasn't just a physically overwhelming guy. But what tipped us towards him in the end was the fact that, the minute he left New England and was separated from Bill Belichick, he won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yes, they had some talent on that team, but they hadn't won anything for a long time. And they were basically a 40% winner over the previous 6-7 years. So I think that really helped his standing at the very top among all of these great players. And we felt like, probably if we didn't have him number one, a disproportionate number of the questions about the book would be, why wasn't Brady number one? So I think sometimes that can be telling too. I mean, I think he's a great choice for the top of it, because of the longevity, because of the excellence, because of the winning with different franchises at the most important position.
When you talk about the longevity, I think that's an interesting part of the book as well, because some of the guys in the book, I would say almost all of them, have a level of longevity, even the older players from back in the 40s and 50s. I mean, the book isn't full of a bunch of guys who have short careers, aside from like a Gale Sayers. So to me, I feel like part of the history of the NFL is the fact that you have so many of these guys in this book who were part of the history of the NFL.
Absolutely. And I think, as a Hall of Fame selector, you come up against this too. You're comparing these great players, but if somebody has a weakness, they didn't play as long, or there's just something missing, they have a harder time making a list. And I think you're right. With just a very couple of exceptions, everyone on this list played a really long time, really at a high level, was reliable. And when you do that for a long time, you're at the top of your game a long time, you're usually going to have success. You're going to be a memorable player. So, it was a little difficult going all the way back to players that were, from the 1940s. We're all less familiar with them. We know the names. We didn't see them play beyond some clips. But I think for the most part, a lot of these people are really familiar because they did endure. They did last a long time. Look at our guys. I guess Jim Brown's unique in that he retired in his prime after about nine or 10 years. But at the top, Tom Brady and Jerry Rice are two of the top three. Well, you can't get much more longevity than those two guys.
We're talking with Mike Sando from The Athletic. Of course, you can follow him on the Twitter X platform at Sando NFL. Of course, the new book is The Football 100, the story of the greatest players in NFL history. Mike, I got to ask you the question, because we are in Eagles country. Brian Dawkins is not on the list, and I'm sure there are Eagle fans driving off the side of the road right now screaming. So talk to us about why Dawkins didn't break the 100 list.
Yeah, I think we had 3 safeties on there, maybe Ed Reed, Rod Woodson, Ronnie Lott. So, that's a small number of safeties. I think you could quibble with that, right? Hey, why aren't there more safeties on the list? I already told you there were 19 quarterbacks. So I think we only had 3 guards on the list. 6 tight ends. Maybe that's a little bit of a high number for tight ends. So I don't think there's anything against Brian Dawkins, but we just didn't have a ton of safeties on there. And then I also think there's probably 50 people that didn't make the list that you could easily put on the list, and no one would think they stood out as not belonging. I'll give you another example of a player that when I was evaluating the wide receivers in history, I went back and I evaluated every wide receiver's 8 best seasons of their career. That's kind of my way of accounting for longevity, but really looking at the elite production. And not against each other, but against their peers in that year, right? If you led the league in receiving yards in a year, in 1980, it's the same as doing it in 2000 or 2020. It means you were the best that year. When I evaluated those 8 years, it's like, Jerry Rice, Don Hudson were number 1, 2. I think Randy Moss was number 3. Number 4 was Torrey Holt. 9 years, incredible production. And then it went on to, Steve Largent, Julio Jones, and other people you would expect to be up there. But that's a player that you could make a case for him. And I don't think anyone's asked me since we've been doing this, hey, where's Torrey Holt, right? So there's a lot of guys who had great careers. Maybe they're a little underappreciated for one way or another. There were some guys like Marvin Harrison's not on it, right? Ernie Stoutner, one of the all-time great players, not on the list. So, it's hard. It's hard to get everyone on there, and invariably you're going to leave off somebody. What about Larry Fitzgerald? He's not on there.
Right, Larry Fitzgerald, definitely, he's a guy you could bring up as well. Mike, you mentioned that there could be 50 other guys you could have put on the list. For you personally, is there like a player or two that's maybe on your personal 100 list, but maybe didn't make the group's 100?
Yes. I would say I'll give you a couple examples. So I mentioned Ernie Stoutner. I think he's one of the all-time great players, and I think was maybe the first player of the Steelers to have their number retired. And like a lot of these guys, never missed games, just extremely tough. There was a story about him playing, in the huddle with a compound fracture and the bone sticking out. I mean, just different era type of guys, that really, I think he could be deserving. Somebody else who's playing now, who I think the longer we go along probably should be on the list, is Travis Kelce. I mean, when you look at, I told you that study on wide receivers and their yardage in relation to the league leaders in their 8 best seasons, there's like no tight ends that threaten the list when compared to wide receivers, except for Travis Kelce. He really does have wide receiver production, top wide receiver production at the tight end position. So I think that's somebody you could argue for. What about Jim Kelly? 4 Super Bowls in a row, great player. So there's a lot of guys you could put on here. I love Dan Fouts. I thought he was a great player at a critical time when the league shifted to the pass and, had those number 1 offenses, just really kind of rewrote the way the passing game was played in the league. So there's a lot of guys. Those are some of my favorites.
We're talking with Mike Sando from The Athletic here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, he covers the NFL for The Athletic. And, of course, his weekly article is Sando's Pick 6, which I am an Athletic subscriber, so I do check that out each and every week, Mike. Go to keep up the good work with that. It feels like in the description in the book about how you guys brought this all together, it's a little sounds like what you guys do for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The way you guys talk and converse and actually work is completely different than baseball, which they just send in a ballot and they're a bunch of invisible people. Whereas you guys actually talk to make this list. Was there a conversation that still stands out to you about a player or a comparison of players that, maybe influenced how you guys made the list?
That's a good question. I don't remember anything that was a watershed in that way. Although I would say this, like we kind of did start with the list of the people that are already in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, there's so many thousands of people that played. I think you can do yourself a big favor right away. Just kind of go through that checklist, right? And make sure you're not leaving somebody off. And of that, there's obviously more than 100 Hall of Famers that played, but I thought that was a good kind of starting point. And then you really just look at, hey, who's not eligible, right? Who's not eligible that's playing now that we think should be on the list? Aaron Donald's on there, for example. So I would say that was, a key part of the process early on, is just make sure you don't publish the book and then somebody goes, hey, where's Dick Butkus? And you go, oh, I think that's your biggest fear with a book like this, is like, you could really screw up if you're not careful. So I think we nailed that one.
Mike, if I ask you just a couple NFL right now questions before I let you go. MVP, what are we doing with that this year? Because it feels like there's no clear guy for it this year. I mean, we had a conversation in our area in the last couple of weeks, Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown. There's never been a wide receiver to win the MVP. And now A.J. Brown has that streak cut. Tyreek Hill is still on pace to potentially break Calvin Johnson's record. Like, what are we doing with the MVP vote right now?
It has become a quarterback award the last 10 years. It's all been quarterbacks. And I think justifiably so. There's always been, seems like, somebody at that position who has 50 touchdown passes or is just way head and shoulders above, leading the way for an amazing offense. And I'm with you this year. It just doesn't feel like the quarterback position is carrying the teams in the way that it has in the past. So for me, that opens up other positions. Obviously, quarterback's the most important position, but I think it's unfair to the rest of the players in the league to just do a quarterback anyway. I think the quarterback still has to be having an amazing year. By the end of this year, that could still happen. Some of the things just haven't aligned, right? Like Josh Allen, I think, has done a lot of good things, but their team's 5-4.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is still Mahomes, but they're really winning with defense. Baltimore's got a great defense. I mean, historic. They've allowed 9 touchdowns in 9 games. That matches the 2000 Ravens. So you look at all of these teams where you might find a quarterback that you like, and I think it does open the door. And Tyreek Hill, for me, would probably be my choice because I think his pace through this point in the season is about the 6th best in the history of the league. Going back, and I think A.J. Brown's about the 20th best in the history of the league. So you take his combination of speed, the ability to get deep, the ability to take the ball short and run with it, what he means to that offense. I'm comfortable doing him for now, but I still think over the course of a year, we may see a quarterback break away. Patrick Mahomes promised us, trust me, that offense will get rolling at some point. They have a bye this week. Maybe Andy Reid kind of goes back to the drawing board a little bit, and maybe they get enough momentum late that Mahomes winds up being the guy.
You mentioned about the Chiefs having a bye week. That's the team the Eagles are going to play out of the bye week. Eagles are 8-1, but are they really the best team in the league, Mike? And I know it's sacrilegious for me to ask that because I'm in Eagles country, right? I'm basically an hour from the stadium where I'm sitting here, but it's a legitimate question. Just because you have the best record, does that mean you're the best team?
Oh, it doesn't always, but I'll tip the Eagles against anybody right now. I'm not saying they're going to win, but the Eagles playing anybody right now in a neutral field, you'd like your chances with the Eagles, right? I mean, they may lose to one of these, they may lose to Kansas City or whatever, but they could just as easily beat them. So I like where they're at. I think it's, the last few years, the team that lost the Super Bowl has been kind of in the 500 range. This is the best record for a team that after losing a Super Bowl since the 2000 Tennessee Titans. So I think the bye came at a great time for them. Jalen Hurts limping around a little bit. I think it's good to take their breath. They have a lot of, change with their coaching staff. And so I think it's great. Just a tribute to them to be 8-1 at this point. And even though it's felt like a struggle some of the time, it hasn't always been pretty. You can put the numbers up against last year and say turnovers this, whatever. They've managed to win the games. And I think that's a great testament to a team when you win the games, even when you're not playing your best. You could make a case that they're the best team in the league. They're certainly in the upper echelon of that top tier of teams, no doubt.
Mike, before I let you go, I want to touch on something you just said, because you mentioned about the coordinators. For someone like you who covers the entire league for The Athletic, what is your perspective on Brian Johnson and Sean Desai?
Yeah, well, Sean Desai is a little bit of a unique situation because he came into the staff, but check me if I'm wrong on this. I don't think he like brought in assistants, right? So
No.
usually everyone has to kind of adjust to the new coordinator when you come in, but this is a little bit of a different deal. So I think there's challenges inherent in that to just be on the same page and get everybody kind of, in sync. So I think they've probably done a decent job of that. I know they've had a lot of different combinations of starting on the back end of their defense, and it's been a little bit of a challenge from that standpoint. I think offensively for a while there, when the turnovers were up and we just weren't sure how it was going, some red zone issues. I mean, I think we were initially going, okay, they missed Shane Steichen. I think we felt that a little bit at times in the first half of the year, and maybe a little bit less so recently. But I think that's still something that we just need to see play out over the course of the year, because those are big moves. It's not like they fired the coaches or they lost the coaches, and so there's definitely an adjustment period. I think they've done a pretty good job on the fly.
He's Mike Sando, covers the NFL for The Athletic at Sando NFL on the Twitter X platform. And of course, the book is The Football 100, the story of the greatest players in NFL history. Mike, I really like this book. I'm a history geek. So for me, this is a perfect book for someone like me. And of course, with the holiday season right around the corner, it's a great opportunity to buy something like this for that person in your family who loves football, or maybe there's somebody who thinks they know football. Maybe they need a little bit of education, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see it right here. Got it right there. That's what it looks like. I'll move my finger this way. So
nice.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Nice. Good product placement by you there behind you, Mike. Mike, yeah. I appreciate you jumping on. I know we've tried to get you on for the last couple of weeks and our schedules have kind of crisscrossed, but I appreciate you making it work today.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you very much. So glad our schedules aligned.
Absolutely. Take care, my man.
Okay, we'll see you.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, I'm about maybe into the 70s of the 100 in this book, and I gotta tell you guys, it's the ultimate book of football history. It's much more than just, hey, this player is better than this player. Like, I was talking with Mike Sando before the show earlier today, and him and I are texting back and forth to confirm him coming on today, and I was telling him, one of my favorite chapters in the book is Leo Nomolini, because it's like, well, who on earth is Leo Nomolini? Well, Leo Nomolini is actually considered one of the best, and not the best, offensive linemen of the 1940s and 1950s. And during his NFL career, and then after his career, he was a pro wrestler. So during the non-football season or on weeks that he didn't have a football game, he'd travel around a part of the pro wrestling circuit. And he was actually one of like the very, very early forerunners of what you see with professional wrestling over the years today. And it's interesting to hear stories like, him, where he was making more money as a pro wrestler than he was in the NFL, to the point that the story goes in the book that the 49ers offered him either a $500 signing bonus or a 1% stake in the San Francisco 49ers. And because he thought that the franchise would not last very long, he took the signing bonus instead of the ownership stake. And there's a part of you that thinks, man, this guy literally took money over eternal money. Because remember, back in like 1948, the San Francisco 49ers were worth maybe $100,000 as a new NFL franchise, because the football is not as big as it is today. Now the franchise is worth about $2 to $4 billion. Like, can you imagine if he would have held on and said, I'll take an ownership stake no matter what? But no, he took the signing bonus because he needed the money to take care of his family more than he could afford to take an investment that may or may not pay off, because he was worried the San Francisco 49ers might go under in the NFL. It's just stories like that. That's what this book is. That's what this book is. This book is the history of football. This is professional football from the 1930s to now. And as Mike said, there's so many guys that didn't make the list. He mentioned Torrey Holt. I mentioned Brian Dawkins. He mentioned Jim Kelly. I'll throw in there also Terrell Owens isn't on the list. And it's not because any of those guys don't belong on the list. As he said, there are 50 other guys you could probably come up with who could have been on the list. But as I said, this book is so cool, and I recommend it as maybe a Christmas gift or something you get for somebody. I know for me, I'm a big book on tape guy. I listen to a lot of books while I do a lot of my driving because I have a long drive to and from the radio station each day, 97.3 ESPN, where it's basically like a 40-minute drive, 40 to 45 minutes from my house is the travel time one direction for me. So I have some time on my hands. So I listen to podcasts, listen to books on tape. So, if you're someone, though, who likes history, you like football history, or maybe you're someone who you just want to learn who on earth were these people who played before you were born, the Football 100, the story of the greatest players in NFL history, Mike Sando, Dan Pompei, and the Athletic NFL staff. It's a great collection, and I highly recommend it. Josh Hennig here on Game Night. We'll get back to the text board on the other side, 609-403-0973 in your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Oh, baby, Embiid rocks the rim. Throws it down. Embiid with a slam. He's got 43.
The Sixers host the Celtics tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Josh Hennig here to tell you about how Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning has helped your favorite football team. Did you know that over 40 years ago, John Jenkins Sr. invented the heated seat that football players sit on today? Yes, the Jenkins family created a way for football players to weather the extreme cold. Now imagine what Jenkins could do for your home. Call Jenkins for plumbing, drain cleaning, and leak repairs, gas furnace boiler, and hot water heater replacements. Call Jenkins today at 609-641-6262, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Get in the spirit with 50% off everything for a limited time during the holiday preview event. Now through November 13th at Banana Republic Factory. From merino wool sweaters to luxe outerwear, explore our favorite styles to give and to get.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper, and you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
When you switch to natural gas, you'll enjoy reliable and efficient comfort, plentiful hot water, precise cooking temperatures, faster clothes drying, and more savings. Plus, you can count on the South Jersey Gas account managers to walk you through the process, answer your questions, and put your mind at ease. Switch now to enjoy safe, reliable, affordable natural gas and smile big at the savings. Learn more at southjerseygas.com/lovemyhome or call us today at 218-217-0864.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that amazing smell?"
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent. Gain Flings with 50% more freshness ingredients versus leading bargain detergent.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Green ball! Green ball!
The rumors are true. I'm back again for the New Jersey Lottery. Because players of Jersey Cash 5, they love me.
Green ball, you said you're back and better than ever. Can you explain?
When you see me in the game, that means a free second drawing and the chance to win, get this, up to $100,000.
The Green Ball is back on Jersey Cash 5 for an even bigger top prize of $100,000. Only through December 3rd.
We love you, Green Ball!
Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you're someone who knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Restrictions apply. For game odds and promotion details, visit njlottery.com/JC5.
O'Reilly.
Protect your engine better with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limit supply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, I love this restaurant. Glad we got a table quickly. What does that sign say? Caution, wet floor? No, right next to it. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60. I didn't know that.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Macy's holiday deals are going on now. Don't miss great savings on everything you need, from hosting essentials to gifts they'll love. Like 40% off designer handbags, perfect for any outfit. 50 to 60% off designer suit updates for him. And get 60% off warm winter bedding for you and your guests. Plus, download the app for even more great holiday deals at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
At the Home Depot, we have all kinds of trees, but the one thing they have in common is they were all made for joy. Trees that easily click together and light up automatically. Trees that connect to your phone, or even keep their shape with memory wire. When you buy your artificial tree at the Home Depot, not only will you get more joy out of it, you'll be able to put more under it. Find the perfect tree for your style and space, starting at $49.98 at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Back to the text board now, 609-403-0973 is where you can try them on the show. Dan and EHT seemingly has a lot to say today. Dan EHT says, the Eagles are the standard, the best organization in the NFL. They will pass the Chiefs real soon. You watch. To me personally, Dan EHT says, I think the Eagles are already a better organization than the Chiefs. They are just so blessed to have Mahomes. All right, so a couple of things there. Number one, I don't know if it's 100% fair to call the Eagles the standard, only because of the fact that if you were to take the most successful winning on the field organizations, let's go this century. Okay, since the turn of the century, that's 23 years. Of all of those franchises, okay, it would be in that conversation. It's the Eagles, it's the Steelers, it's the Patriots, it's the Chiefs. And then the fifth team would probably be, I'm doing off the top of my head, obviously. Oh man. Who is a consistent, successful franchise over the last, I guess the Colts, even though they're down right now because of Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, would be in that conversation, or because it's not the Cowboys. Cowboys haven't been to the Super Bowl in years. It can't be the Giants. The Giants, aside from the 2 Super Bowl championships, haven't been in the playoffs that many times. I'm going to go with those 5 for now. So let's just go with Eagles, Steelers, Patriots, Colts. I guess maybe the 49ers instead of the Colts probably are the team that should go. So Eagles, 49ers, Steelers, Patriots. Those are the kind of franchise, and the Chiefs we're talking about, right? The Eagles have the fewest championships of all of those teams. Sure, the Eagles have been to 3 Super Bowls, but they've only won 1 out of those 3. The Chiefs have more championships during the last 23 years. The Steelers have more championships. The 49ers, while they haven't won a championship in this century, they have been to a couple Super Bowls, right? So maybe they are success-wise below the Eagles. I think it's hard to gauge what the standard organization. I mean, the Patriots, they won all those games with Tom Brady. You heard Mike Sando said, as soon as Tom Brady left, they weren't the same. So maybe in that vein, Danny HT, you're saying, look, Mahomes, the Chiefs are blessed to have him. The Chiefs were winning games before Mahomes got there with Andy Reid. Just Mahomes took them to the next level. Until the Eagles win another championship, it's hard for me to call them the standard. If you want to tell me Howie Roseman's the best GM in football, I can rock with that. If you want to tell me that the Eagles are the best offensive line in football, I can work with that. If you want to tell me that, Jalen Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, I'm with you there. I think there's a lot of different aspects of the Eagles organization I definitely agree with you on, but to call them the standard, I don't know. It's hard for me because, some of it is recency bias with that. Maybe I think if we were say if the Eagles were one of the 4 best franchises in football, I'll give you that. That's how I will look at it. Okay. I'm going to look at it as the Eagles, one of the best franchises. They have one of the best GMs. They have one of the best run organizations. But I think the Chiefs are great too. And by the way, the Chiefs are run people from the Eagles organization. Brett Veach used to be with the Eagles. Andy Reid used to be with the Eagles as well. Think about that too. All right, that's the sounder. The phone number is 609-573-3776. That's the number you dial for the 99 bottles contest. Caller number 7. If you are caller number 7 at 609-573-3776, you are a qualifier for the 99 bottles contest, which guarantees you will win something. There's 99 prizes. 2 of those prizes are Eagles game tickets. So, if you want to be one of the qualifiers for the 99 bottles party, which will be held at the Anchorage Tavern in Summers Point the day before Thanksgiving, where Mike Gilbert Sports Back will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6 p.m., you must be present to win. Caller 609-573-3776. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
This is South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football with the legendary voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. Philadelphia Eagles football on 97.3 ESPN is brought to you by
Ocean Casino. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino this football season. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. GMS Law. Make the right call with 4 convenient locations to serve you and at gmslaw.com. BoardwalkHonda.com. Boardwalk Honda. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at BoardwalkHonda.com. The Fan Zone at Sun Valley Pools, 29 West Sherman Avenue in Vineland. Unique fan gear and gifts for every fan of every team. Cape Regional Hospital, your healthcare partner for a healthier life in Cape May County. Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Choose better banking. And South Jersey Gas.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN FM.